Dr. Rabia. Our last but not least speaker is Mr. Monte Wilson. He is a Senior Vice President and Director of Planning, and he's a landscape architect, at HOK. And HOK is a very well-known name in Saudi Arabia. They have a very positive and leading role in the establishment of King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, and that KAUST was mentioned at least 10 times this morning. Mr. Wilson was the principal planner, landscape architect there.
Thank you very much. Well, I too would like to add the fact that it's an honor to be here with you and to be a part of this panel. What a fascinating conversation to be a part of as we look at just the sheer numbers and magnitude of investment that we're talking about in Saudi and the impact that that's having in the region and obviously around the world. HOK has enjoyed a long history of working in the kingdom, whether that was landmark projects for our organization dating back to the 70s at King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals, the King Khalid Airport, or King Saud University. So landmark projects, tracking in kingdom as the society continued to grow and develop has long been a part of our history and something that we're quite proud of. And as you just heard, that's continued today. It's almost as if we could track our work in kingdom and in the region as before KAUST or after KAUST. In essence, we've got this amazing phone call from Aramco Services back in 2006 to talk about this master plan for a new research university that was intended to transform the kingdom. And we were fortunate enough to be involved, and quite honestly, it helped in many ways to transform our organization as well, not just because of the sheer magnitude and the size and the ambition of the project, but we were to build an entire new university from scratch that when we first showed up on site in the summer of 2007, it was quite remote on the salt flats of the Red Sea. And within a year, some 50-plus construction cranes and development, and it was like kicking an anthill and watching activity, and you've seen it with these other great projects that are going on in Jubail and other parts of the kingdom. But in just 3 years, the very first line on paper resulted in a grand opening of a project that truly is intended to have a far-reaching impact on the kingdom, a reemergence on the world stage in terms of investment in research. We heard about the House of Knowledge, the notion of enlightenment, and it's coming true. They're exceeding expectations, and it allowed us, the sheer magnitude of these projects, the fact that they're moving so fast and they're so large, and they're so ambitious, are also fostering innovation for those of us who are involved in these projects. It's causing us to have to think differently about how we design, about how we deliver our work, how we manage the projects, how we procure all of the materials. We could have an hour-long discussion or more just on procurement and delivery for a project like KAUST alone. And on the landscape architecture side, plant materials, something you wouldn't think about as being a big issue, as an example. So it caused us to have to rethink how we work globally. And so far-reaching impacts, probably even beyond that was intended when Sajia and others envisioned the project in the beginning. But one of the things that I wanted to point out about KAUST, in addition, is it's very much about leading the world and attracting science and research and forwarding economic development, but it's also about creating community. I was there recently, and to be able to see children on bicycles and families taking their groceries to their house and playing in the parks, it's very much about creating a community around these environments. And when you talk about the other industrial cities, that's so much a part of what this is as well. And as part of a design and planning firm, that's really the perspective that we bring to this conversation in many ways. Our involvement in the economic cities and other housing trends and things that are happening. It's about creating the cities that have become the heart of these civilizations and societies. You can't have fabulous infrastructure and industrial development without having the great cities and the great communities and the great daily life that accompany them. And that's what our organization has been fortunate enough to be a part of, whether we're working on development projects, mixed use in Mecca, Medina. We're involved right now in the Kingdom City project north of Jeddah, where the world's tallest building will now be built. I mean, that's the level of ambition as we continue to see that we're seeing coming out of the kingdom. It's to bring the best, it's to be the best, and it's to push the envelope, and it's causing all of us that have the opportunity to be involved to continue to do that ourselves. And the trends are staggering. Every sector of development, unlike most anywhere else on the planet right now, but every sector of development, we're seeing growth. Whether we're talking about new towns and new communities and housing. We heard the number today at lunchtime, 500,000 new housing units expected to be built. The numbers associated with healthcare, the investment in the medical industry and in healthcare facilities and new medical cities is quite staggering as well. The same goes whether we're talking about recreation or other amenities within the kingdom. Some of this is redevelopment in the urban environment. Some of this is new greenfield sites on the edges or on the fringe. But with a growing middle class, with the investment that we're talking about, hopefully the prediction that as you build it, they will come. That correlation may not always make sense. If we've got all the factors here, we're looking at the economics, you're looking at the social issues, you're looking at the industrial and the environmental, all those things together can allow for it to happen, and for as these commercially based projects to be built, the market to respond, because the insight, the leadership, and the talent has been brought to bear. We're seeing it in the suburbs of Riyadh, and from a design standpoint, being able to look at the historical factors of these great communities and the things that drove development in community historically, and taking clues from that development and applying it in the development and ideas around these new cities, and working with the public sector to do that. But as I mentioned, we're also seeing investment in higher education. We had the opportunity to design King Saud University back in the 1970s, and at the time, the story that I've been told is that at $2 billion US in 1980, it was the largest development project going on anywhere in the world. And we recently have had a chance now to go back and update that master plan, and the growth and the development and the level of achievement that you see at that institution is quite amazing. We're in fact now wrapping up a master plan for their medical city. Again, investment in healthcare infrastructure. The same at KFUPM, one of the techno valleys we heard about at lunch. The Dahran Techno Valley, investment in research, attracting companies like Schlumberger and many, many others to invest. We're seeing as an investment that's being driven in the research sector across the entire kingdom. So it's quite remarkable to see how that's going. It's also in the commercial projects. The Capital Market Authority Tower in the financial district in Riyadh. This is a part of a fascinating, very dense urban development program that will be coming online very, very soon. It speaks to the future of the kingdom again. We want to be the best. This tower is supposedly going to be the 7th tallest tower in the world when it's completed. I guess that depends on the race for who gets constructed first. But the notion that, again, the benchmark, they're being set high. The expectations are set high. And as designers, we're not only having to respond with state-of-the-art, innovative thinking and bringing our best talent to the table, but we're having to partner and getting to partner with an amazing group of individuals and professionals. And that's really what it's going to take to make this, to allow this to happen in the kingdom. That it's not just about any one sector coming together. And if we're really addressing infrastructure from a social, economic, industrial perspective, that's the opportunity that we all really see. I can think back to some of the early meetings on CAUS, for instance, the fact that we had to address things differently. Typically, the administration of an institution like that's already in place. They've got a strategic plan that's been put forth, and out of that strategic plan, there becomes a very clear set of principles or guidelines or goals that are going to drive the physical development. We quickly learned as we sat in the Dahran camp at Aramco's headquarters and were introduced to other folks who were at the same time mapping out what the administration will look like when those folks were hired, and mapping out what the strategic plan for the institution was going to be like as it was developed. And so rather than us having much of that information fed to us as the design side of the team, we had to innovate. We had to work together. We had to address new and different feedback loops to allow that project to proceed and to be realized in record pace. and on record time and to achieve the level of quality. And you know, there are so many things you could talk about that one project in particular. On the sustainability front, it does happen to be the largest LEED Platinum building in the world, and the numbers, again, that I've heard is that you could take all the other LEED Platinum projects from elsewhere on the planet and they would fit inside the academic center there at KAUST. I hope you have a chance to go visit it. I hope you have a chance to be a part of and to see some of the other amazing work that's going on in the kingdom across every single sector. It's really remarkable, something that we're quite proud of. I personally certainly can say that for the involvement that I've had as we, again, work together to bring all of these different pieces from an economic side, social, physical infrastructure, to make not only the industrial side of infrastructure a part of this story, but the communities and the cities that are going to help this society continue to lead across the nation, across the globe. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you today.